TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I am your host, Andy Frecka. Today we are broadcasting from the heart of the world's largest borderplex, live on this Friday, April 11th, year of our Lord 2025. Mac Daddy Del Norte, how you doing today?
Yes, I'm doing good, Andy. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. You know what I'm thinking about today, Mac Daddy Del Norte?
No, what are you thinking about?
Well, first of all, we have a very special guest.
Okay.
But think about, like, cool jobs.
Cool jobs.
Okay, so like race car driver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What for you would be rock star?
Rock star,
Right?
definitely. Oh, yeah.
What else would there be?
What else? Maybe a pilot.
Oh, a pilot, a test pilot.
Test pilot.
Or an astronaut,
or,
right? Mac
or
Daddy
a
don't know.
crash dummy.
Oh, wow.
The testers that test the car crash.
No, well, that's kind of not cool.
No,
but
cool.
let's take this to another level.
Okay.
Imagine being a Marvel Avenger or working for Batman.
Okay.
Yeah, that's taking it to the next level right there,
yeah,
right?
Definitely.
Yeah, and so what would be even cooler than that would be El Paso County Sheriff.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds cool. Like, I grew up in Ohio, and El Paso is like way out there in West Texas.
Yes.
And I would hear about the sheriffs, and I mean, to me, that was like crazy cool growing up in Ohio thinking about it. And I would have never dreamed that I'd be sitting in a radio studio when I grew up with the El Paso County Sheriff.
Nice.
So we have him in here with us today. He's, first of all, he is a true son of the borderland, just like you.
Yep.
A first-generation American born to Mexican parents and raised in El Paso. He's spent many years in law enforcement, kind of like, I don't want to bore our listeners, but it's a lot. He was a constable. He was a court bailiff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think court bailiff is the one that would be most intrigued by, like standing there and keeping a serious face, and then making sure the suspects don't lose it. I've seen some recent videos about that. I don't know if he had any of that drama during his time, but just this year he ran for sheriff.
Nice.
And here he is in the studio. So wherever you are, maybe you're out in Fabens listening to 1590 AM, or up in Northeast El Paso listening to 95.9 FM, or you're out in Old Mesilla listening to 89.3 FM in Las Cruces. Wherever you are, let's give a very warm borderland welcome to the El Paso County Sheriff, Oscar Ugarte. Sheriff Ugarte, welcome to 915 Talk.
How's it going, sir? Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm so excited. There's so much to talk about. But first of all, I have to tell our listeners, because most of them are listening to the radio, they don't see you. Or if they're watching us on YouTube, our 915 Talk channel, or maybe they're on Facebook watching, it's hard to see behind the desk. But when you walked in, I had seen pictures of you. But you're a tall man.
Yes, sir. 6'6".
6'6". I didn't expect that, but I like that. That's good for a sheriff, for a county sheriff.
Yes.
Big man. You just ran for office, and I was talking to a friend today, and I said, the sheriff's coming in. I'm excited. And he lives out off of Pelicano on the east side. And he said during the campaign, you would stand on the side of the road and wave, and if people wanted to talk with you, they could just pull over and have a little chat.
Yes, that's correct. This campaign, running for county sheriff, it's a lot of work. It's almost close to documented about 860,000 population in El Paso County, but I believe there's more than that, close to 1 million. So I was all over the county, putting signs, knocking on doors, standing at intersections, because I really wanted the community to know who I am and what I stand for. And that's how I run my office, open door policy, here I am, I'm your sheriff. How can we improve services? What do you want to know about me? And I like being very transparent with the community. And now here I am, the next sheriff.
You made it, you did it. What were you hearing from people when they stopped to talk to you?
The biggest concern knocking on doors from the community was DWIs. believe it or not.
Wow.
Yes. And when I would ask them, how can we improve services? What can you do? What are your concerns? And it would always come up, DWIs. I'm scared of going out at night. I have teenage sons, 20-year-olds that are out there, Friday and Saturday.
Sure.
They're out there in the night scene. So they were very worried based on all the amount of DWIs and with social media. Social media, you see all these social medias, all the accidents, the hit and runs. So it's a lot.
Yeah, we're not going to name any specific accounts, but let me ask you, does that concern kind of play out with what you see with the numbers, with the statistics?
In the sheriff's office, we patrol the unincorporated areas. Even though El Paso County sheriffs, we do have jurisdiction countywide. We can be in the city of El Paso, Socorro, Horizon, Anthony. But those areas, they have their own police departments. So our focus is on the unincorporated areas. Do we have DWs out there? Yes, we do. But we have not seen a big increase out there. Right. But also, to let the community know, the sheriff's office does not have a DWI task force.
Okay.
That's something that we want to implement into the sheriff's office as part of my vision.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw, I think it was on Instagram, you were out doing DWI stops.
Yes.
So what does that look like?
So on that, since when I was running for office, one of the biggest things was the DWIs. You need to do something. When I took office, the sheriff's office does not have a DWI task force. DWI task force is a dedicated team just focusing out there, doing traffic stops, looking for drunk drivers. We do not have that. We just have basic patrol officers.
Right.
If they come across one, they'll handle it, but it's not just focused on that. So what I did right now, since it's a big concern for our community, I'm pulling officers on overtime to actually do DWI operations on the weekends.
Right.
Or we have officers that are assigned to schools, so SROs.
Oh, wow.
So those deputies, since they work Monday through Friday, taking care of the schools, then I'll pull them to work Friday and Saturday, since we don't have the actual staffing for a unit. So I'm kind of moving resources around. If we can pay overtime, pay some overtime, or just adjust schedules to take care of that need, because it's a big need in our community, and that's what we're doing.
Right. So how does that actually work, though? You have these off-duty deputies. They're just out there on the roads, and they're in a certain spot, just keeping their eyes open.
So our objective is DWI. So we're out there. If we see somebody, making any traffic violation,
right.
We pull them over.
Not maintaining lane, or
fail to maintain a lane, signal, running a stop sign, running a red light.
Gotcha.
And we go, do the traffic stop. The deputies will do the traffic stop and start their investigation. But if they don't seem like if they're drunk, then we let them go on their way.
Right, of course. Yeah, and so now you've been sheriff for just over 3 months?
Yes, over.
Okay, so here's the big question. You went through this grueling campaign. Is it everything you expected it to be?
Yes. Okay. I've been in law enforcement 22 years, like you mentioned, born and raised here in El Paso, Texas. I went to Isleta High School. Okay. And the neat thing about Isleta ISD, your last 2 years, you can pick like an elective. And my electives was the criminal justice program at Isleta High School in the Lower Valley.
Okay.
So our senior year, we went to a field trip to the Sanchez State Jail, which is on Montana, on the east side.
Right.
So while we were there, during the tour, the officers that were working there, they said, whoever is 18 can actually apply now. So I was already a senior. And so I graduated in May. And in October, I was already in Houston in the academy. So that's where my law enforcement career started. I started as a corrections officer for the state. I got my peace officer license. Then I came back to El Paso, started working for the city of Socorro as a police officer. Like you mentioned, then I was a court bailiff for the county. And then in the county, that's what kind of opened all the doors to politics, working there.
Sure.
So then I found out that as a constable, you get elected And I didn't know that. So I was like, hey, you like politics and you like law enforcement. Did you know constables get elected? Like, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
So then, I transferred over to be a deputy constable to learn the job.
Right.
In 2015, I started my campaign and I got elected. I was one of the youngest elected constables at the age of 32 years old.
Right.
So for the past 8 years, I was the elected constable for Precinct 1 here in El Paso County.
Right.
And that kind of prepared me to be the next sheriff, because as a county constable, you are in law enforcement, but an elected official as well. It's a smaller district, smaller duties, but we have the same resources as a county sheriff, since we are both county agencies.
Right.
So we have the same human resources department. We have the same budget team. We have the same county administration, commissioner's court. So I had worked with all these teams and individuals for the past 8 years. So when I ran for sheriff, it's a bigger department, but all the processes are the same.
Okay.
And as the next sheriff, I am the sheriff, but I have a chief that is in charge of the law enforcement division. I have a chief that is in charge of the detention bureau division. Then from there, you have assistant chiefs, commanders, and all my command staff that I have. They're all veterans of the sheriff's office. So I have a great team behind me.
Yeah.
All my command staff, 20 plus years working for the sheriff's office. So they're very familiar with the systems. They're the experts. Like
Right.
I told people. Well, as a sheriff, I'm not running to be a crime scene investigator. I'm not running to be a detective. I'm not running to be a detention officer. I'm running to be your administrator.
Okay.
I'm going to be your administrator.
Yeah, I saw that.
You guys
Administrator.
are the experts in your divisions. I don't need to know. That's why you guys are in those sections.
Right.
And you will let me know what you guys need.
Right.
So me as an administrator, as a politician, go out there, let the community know what are the needs of the sheriff's office, build those relationships with commissioner's court, so we can tell our story and we can give you the proper resources. That's my job as an administrator. Make sure that my staff has the proper resources, the proper training, so we can actually provide quality services to our community.
Yeah, it's interesting, and our regular listeners know that I spent most of my adult life overseas, and so being here in America, I learn new things, and I get to sit here in this radio studio and ask a lot of dumb questions, but I think a lot of people don't know the answer to them, and they've never thought to ask, why is sheriff an elected office? Why have that? Where like the chief of police in a city is, as far as I know, he's appointed by the city council or the mayor or whatever the case may be. Why do we vote for sheriff?
Because it's part of the Texas Constitution. Like even when I was a constable, constables here in El Paso, they're very small offices. There's 7 elected constables in El Paso County, and the question would come up like, why do we have constables? We do warrants as constables. The primary duties of the constable was executing warrants, civil process, and maintaining security for the justice of the peace courts. And the sheriff's office also provides those services. So people would actually ask, why do we have constables? Are we duplicating services in our community? We already have a sheriff's office. We have police departments, but we are part of the Texas Constitution, so we cannot be removed, and that's the process. You get elected to be a constable, and it's been there. And the same for the sheriffs. For the sheriffs.
Right. So this is my other question as I look at law enforcement. Of course, we have the federal in El Paso very much. Of course, CBP. I even see like police cars that are, as far as I understand, Homeland Security police cars.
Yes.
I'd never seen that before coming to El Paso. City police. We have constables. We have sheriff. You said your main area is the unincorporated areas in the county. What is the mandate or what is the responsibility of the sheriff's department? Because I also saw you have about 1,000 personnel.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are those 1,000 people doing?
So as far as the main responsibility of the sheriff is the county jails. We run the county jails and patrol all the unincorporated areas. Right. Which right now we have Fabens. San Elizario has a part-time marshals. They're not out 24/7. So
interesting.
So we have San Elizario. We have Fabens, the community of Fabens, the community of Tornillo. We have Sparks, and all the growth on the east side by East Lake. Montana Vista area,
Yeah.
all that unincorporated area. We patrol, we offer basic, patrol services, answer to 911 calls.
Oh, wow.
And on the west side, we have the community of Vinton. We have Canutillo.
Okay.
All those areas are unincorporated, so they do not have their own police departments. So
Canutillo doesn't have his own police department.
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
Okay.
It doesn't. So those are our responsibilities. The staff of approximately 1,000. The majority of the staff is running the jails. We have 2 jails. We have the downtown county jail, and then we have the annex located in Montana.
Right.
And between those 2 jails, approximately we have close to about 480 detention officers.
Wow.
So it's 480, because the county
So that's
jails,
half the department.
half the department. County jails, it's like a small city, 24/7. Those
How
run
how many people are there? Inmates?
at the downtown jail capacity is about 1,000,
Uh-huh.
and then at the annex about 2,400.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the capacity, and we're almost at capacity.
Yeah.
We're almost at capacity, because of COVID, and then the issues that we had with our past district attorney. There is a backlog on cases waiting to go to trial, so we do have a lot of
Still from COVID.
COVID. So the backup started with COVID,
Right.
and there was a backlog
Wow.
for the courts, and then during COVID, then we had a new DA, which created a backlog. At the end of the day, that DA resigned.
Okay.
And then another DA was appointed, and then we had the DA race. But now we have a new DA, James Montoya. He's doing a great job. He's trying to get back the district attorney's office back on the right track.
Okay.
And so that's the detention side. So we are responsible for that. On the peace officer side, which includes the deputies, detectives, our specialized units, the sworn peace officers, we have about close to 280, 290 deputies that are outside in the streets
Right.
patrolling. And then the rest are civilians, about 200. We have clerks, administrative specialists, managers, and it makes about 1,000 staff.
Wow,
And
wow.
our yearly budget is about 130 million.
Yeah, so a lot to dive in to in this conversation. If you just joined us, we're with El Paso County Sheriff Oscar Ugarte, talking all things Sheriff's Department, El Paso County. And this is your daily reminder that if you want to listen to this conversation later or to any of our previous 915 Talk conversations, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's the website, desertvoice.media. We're going to go into a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
915 Talk is listener supported and is a production of Desert Voice Media. That's right. It's people just like you who make this program possible. Together with Desert Voice, you can learn how to better serve our neighbors and pray for our community. To become a Desert Voice Media partner, you can visit desertvoice.media. That's right. That's the website, desertvoice.media. Take a look and join us today in reaching our borderland for Christ.
Hey, this is Pastor Ricky Alcantara from Better News Radio right here in El Paso, Texas. And I want to extend a special invitation to you to join us on Easter Sunday. Our church, Cross of Grace, is going to be gathering in a special off-site service at McElligan Canyon. We hope to fill up that amphitheater with people singing about and hearing about the good news of Jesus Christ. You can find more information on our special Easter service at crossofgrace.net.
Testify.
I joined a gang at 12 years old. I got to find the Lord Jesus Christ in 2014 in a jail cell. He saved me. The way he saved me is that the DA gave me 7 years. And for me, that 7 years was a day of completion because God completed everything in 7 days. And I want to thank my wife because she's the one that left me at the altar to know Jesus Christ, for him to save me. So my wife is the one that said, you know what, God, I need you to help my husband. I need you to work on him. The Lord Jesus Christ worked on me through my prison sentence and everything. Went through a bunch of programs to learn more about Jesus Christ. And I know that I did bad things, but God is a loving God. I want you to know that there is a loving God, and he loves you no matter what you do in life. He's always going to be with you. No matter what you're doing, he's going to love you regardless. My name is Adrian De La Torre. I'm from the Northeast El Paso. He saved me from all that.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And by the word of their testimony.
KELPradio.com. We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Fracca. Today we have the privilege of having El Paso County Sheriff Oscar Ugarte in the studio. Wide-ranging conversation. If you have a question for the sheriff, you can visit the KELP Christian Radio Facebook page. You'll see us talking. You can watch the radio on Facebook, and you can put a question there in the comment section. We'll get to as many of those as we can. Sheriff Ugarte, we live here in El Paso, here on the border. We're kind of, there's the tension between the local law enforcement, and of course we're on an international border. So I have to ask you about immigration. It's a requirement for anyone who comes in to the studio to talk about El Paso. And I know it's not your job to make the laws, but how do you view immigration? What is the sheriff's part in that, if anything at all?
Me personally, I hold immigrants very close to my heart. I'm a first-generation American. My parents are from Mexico.
Right.
But we still, as law enforcement, we follow the law. Here at the Sheriff's Office, we've always had a great working relationship with federal agencies. Being a border community, we tap into a lot of federal resources. There's so many federal agents here, which helps our community.
Sure.
Anything we have a major incident, we know that federal law enforcement will be there to support local law enforcement. But as far as immigration, right now the focus for the Sheriff's Office is local crimes and state crimes.
Right.
We don't have the resources. We don't have the training.
Yeah.
The manpower, the manpower. As it is, we are shorthanded in the Sheriff's Office. Senate bill just passed on the Senate side. They voted. Now it's going to the House, and Senate Bill 8 will require counties that had over 100,000 in population to enter into a contract with ICE. So we will not have a choice.
Oh, wow.
We will not have a choice, and that's where we're at right now. It passed the Senate. Just the way politics is at the state level, I see it passing the House as well.
So is that in Austin?
Austin.
Oh, so that's in Austin.
Yes, this is a state a state law.
Wow.
And it went through the Senate already. It passed. Now it's going through the House.
Right.
But Senate Bill 8 will require every county in Texas that has over 100,000 in population to enter into contracts with ICE.
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
So
that's a big deal. Now, you mentioned manpower. I know the El Paso Police Department struggles to keep manpower up. If AI is correct in the internet, Sheriff's Department as well, the Sheriff's Office.
Yes.
Yes. So what's the situation and what can be done about that?
Right now, my first 3 months, I've been assessing each section, talking to the section commanders, the chiefs, lieutenants. I've been going to each station, each substation, each jail, understanding what are their needs. And, these 3 past months, there is a lot of need.
Sure.
I believe the Sheriff's Office was neglected by the past administration.
Okay.
We're doing assessments. There's a shortage in officers inside the jails. There's a shortage outside as far as the deputies patrolling our community. I am going to go before Commissioner's Court. We're getting ready for budget talks to tell our story. As this transition, I think it's very important that as this new administration is transitioning to go before county administration, to go before county commissioners, and let them know how we inherited these offices, and start working on a budget, because for example, the Montana station, the deputies out there and the number of officers patrolling has not increased. But if you travel to the east side, you can see the amount of growth,
of course,
that we have. So that's just one simple example.
Right.
all the growth on the east side, the Montana Patrol Station has not increased in the number of deputies patrolling each shift.
So am I oversimplifying it if I say that the personnel issue is a budget issue?
Yes. So as a sheriff or any county department, our budgets are controlled by county commissioners.
Okay.
So we, as a department, we do budgets, we do budget proposals, we present it to county administration, and then county administration will work with county commissioners, and at the end they will approve the budget.
Okay.
So we submit our proposals, what are the needs for the office, and depending what the budget for the entire El Paso County is, that's with what county commissioners works with. But the sheriff's office is one of the largest departments in the county, and we have the largest budget.
Right,
we have the largest budget.
Wow.
But I just want to remind the community that public safety is expensive.
Right.
Public safety is expensive, and we need that funding to keep our community safe. One example I want to give you, like right now, a fully equipped patrol unit, we're paying close to $110,000 to $120,000, and that's just one unit.
I believe that based on prices I see at car lots, and it's not just a simple car.
Yes.
You're fitting it out for law enforcement.
So technology is getting very expensive. You know, the radios that we carry, the officers, those radios are costing close to $8,000-9,000 each radio. Wow. You know, we have tasers, we have body cameras, you know, ammunition. So it's a lot.
Sure, of course. Wow, that's a lot to unpack. I saw, again, I think it was on your Instagram, you were kind of appealing to youth in the city, and you were talking about, and you can correct me if I get this not exactly right, but it was something about, well, if you drive without insurance, I can kind of understand you can, in your own mind, you think it's okay, but think about the other person if you hit them.
Yes.
Yeah, so I want to talk about just who are you trying to reach? What message are you trying to tell them, or maybe particularly the youth? What do you want them to understand?
So on those, I did get a little pushback. You know, I like being transparent, and it's the stationary vehicle checks that we do out in the community.
Okay.
When we go out there, we check for driver's license and insurance.
Right.
And those are targeted based on the community needs. So if there's an intersection, if there's a residential street where we get a lot of complaints that we have speeders, people running stop signs, or we have a lot of collisions in that area.
Yeah.
So we go out there and do stationary vehicle checks.
Yeah.
And because of the immigration and everything that's going on in our country, the community was scared that I was doing immigration checks. It has nothing to do. We do not ask for anything.
Right.
It's because it's very important for people to have insurance. You know, everything is very expensive now.
Sure.
When you get involved in an accident, and you know, and the other person that's at fault does not have insurance, then the victim is responsible to pay for all those damages.
Yeah.
You know, so it's something very, very important. And once you don't have a driver's license and no insurance, you're out there. And once you get involved in an accident, you know, I don't know if any of our listeners have been involved in accidents. You have to deal with the insurance, you know, and then if they don't have insurance, then you have to take them to small claims court, sue them to try to recover all those losses. Right.
Yeah. It is a mess if that happens. But I just thought it was interesting how you were using Instagram to kind of talk. I think it's mainly young people who are doing this. I could be wrong, but you were using social media. But how else are you trying to, I don't know, send out information to the community or speak to them about what you're facing as a sheriff?
I like being very transparent. You know, I have an open door policy, but I want to be transparent to the community. I want to be transparent with county administration and with county commissioners. Social media is very important. I think we need to keep up with the times. A lot of people listen to social media. I put information out there, do press releases. We let the community know how we're spending those $130 million. What we are doing, what service are we providing, what are the issues in our community, so we can actually address them and keep the community informed of what's going on. And social medias are great platforms.
Right. So El Paso has been said in different times to be one of the safest cities in America. Would you say it's similar for the county?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's kind of the message I've received as someone living here, that it's safe. But there's challenges. What challenges don't I see that you see as the sheriff?
One of the challenges, areas that the sheriff's office has seen, if we go out there and we target DWIs, we're going to find them.
Okay.
Every time,
That's so interesting.
We don't have the resources, because sometimes even when I post that we're out there working DWIs, we'll get comments. You should patrol the East Lake. You should patrol the freeway. But there's just so much need out there, so we don't have the resources for all of them. But that's one thing, that's concerning DWIs. If we go out there and look for them, and if we had the resources, we would have a lot of DW arrests. Yeah. Right now that the summer is approaching, we do get a lot of juveniles involved in crime.
Right.
They're out of school. They're out there, like small thefts, burglaries. Right. We have a lot of assaults, house parties. The younger kids that can't go out and drink in local bars. Right. They attend house parties, so we have disturbances out there, loud music. Right. Those loud music, those house parties can turn violent. We have red sands. I don't know if you've heard of red sands in Montana Vista. That's a big issue.
You're not going to believe it, but that was literally the question I was looking at right now. Red sands. Tell me what's going on.
Red sands, it's a big area. Right now, the sheriff's office, we're limited on the type of vehicles that we use to patrol out there. We just have, I think, 2 ATVs. Right. Our vehicles, not all of them are 4x4. So that's also, I want to work on a plan how to tackle red sands. Red sands is 4th of July. It's a big issue. Last 4th of July, there was a shooting at Red Sands. An individual lost his life there. So this year we want to increase patrols. Okay. We're going to reach out to other agencies here to support that operation. But it's a big problem, and it's so much area to cover. We wouldn't have enough. And if there's a disturbance, these individuals are out there in 4x4 vehicles and ATVs. Even if you attempt to stop them, as soon as you attempt to stop them, they're going to go into the desert and disappear.
Right. So you have to patrol the desert as well.
Yes. The El Paso County. If it's in El Paso County, it's our responsibility.
Right.
And yes, illegal dumping. That's another big issue that we have out there. We have all these dirt roads. People go out there and dump. So
I saw somewhere where 2 young men were arrested for illegal dumping, and I don't feel like I took that very seriously. No, so tell me why it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I'll invite you to go out there and drive. The amount of trash, tons and tons of trash that is just dumped out there. And that arrest was because the community, when I was block walking in that area, that was a big concern for them. All the illegal dumping that happens. So they were caught on an operation that we did. Wow. We had undercover officers out there. Wow. And, so that's how that arrest happened.
Undercover officers watching for dumping. It's that big of a deal.
It is. If we had more resources, I would have somebody. Every day there's dumping out there. Okay. If I had the resources, I would have a dedicated team.
Wow.
Yes, and the way El Paso's growing, maybe in a couple of years we'll be out there. That part of El Paso will be developed, and we're going to be dealing with all that trash. Sure. And who needs to pick up that trash? It's us. It's county government, so that's going to be more tech dollars, resources, picking up all that trash and taking it to the landfill.
Right. Okay. Let's talk about the difficult subject, maybe, of county jail. There's been some issues there recently. I've just seen in the news. What's going on? What can be done? How would you describe the situation?
Yes, so I did have a media day. Since I took office, we had 3 which are called in custody deaths. Mm-hmm. The first one was of natural causes. Initially, we got a letter of non-compliance because the system that monitors the checks did not record the checks. But after doing our internal investigation, the checks were done, but there was a glitch in the system that did not record those checks. But on the video, you can actually see the detention officers doing the checks.
Okay.
So that letter of noncompliance was rescinded.
Yeah, I saw that there
Yes.
was a letter of noncompliance. So what
Yes.
you're saying is you were actually compliant.
Yes.
It was a
After
glitch.
the
Okay.
investigation, we
Yeah.
sent proof to the state, Texas
Okay.
Commission on Jail Standards. We sent them proof, so that letter was rescinded. But there is issues in our county jails. Our building, the county jail, was built in the 1980s.
Okay.
All the technology is outdated. In these instances.
Sounds like this radio station.
Yes, so 1980. So we're dealing with a lot of old technology, and the county actually hired consultants to do a study, which was done about 5 years ago, and that study showed that we need a new county jail.
Wow.
We need a new, and this was about 5 years ago.
Sounds expensive,
It is
Sheriff.
very expensive. It is, like I said, public safety is expensive.
Right.
But like what I've said when I was out there in the community, public safety is expensive. There's no way around it.
Right.
This downtown county jail was built in 1980, and for me, if we need it, I'd rather build it now than in 10 years, because in 10 years it's probably going to cost 30-40% more than if we were to build it now.
Yeah, so you recommend a jail project?
Oh, it's needed.
Yeah.
It's needed. You should see our substations too.
Okay.
We're using buildings that were not designed, that were not meant to be substations, but these were buildings that the county had, and we're using them as substations.
Right. Wow. I'm going to ask a question. I don't know how much you can speak into it, and as a matter of fact, I know very little about it personally, but I know it's important to our listeners. We have here in El Paso quite a few churches that do ministry in the jail. They're there doing Bible studies, meeting with the inmates. What would be one thing that they could be mindful of as they go in to serve in a great way?
Yeah, we do have a Chaplain Ferroni. He's in charge of the ministries and coordinating.
Yeah, I
with the
believe
local.
he's even been here. We spent so we have a program called 915 Pray.
Okay.
And we pray for the 915 at 9:15 a.m. and p.m. And we spent a week just praying for the jails. This is maybe 6 months ago, but it was just crossing my mind that a lot of churches are thinking about that. I know there's chaplains in there, different churches, but anyway, yeah, please continue.
No, so I think it's a great program, to offer those services to members of our community that are incarcerated. Like I said, these members of our incarcerated, we need to invest in them, because once if they're found guilty or not guilty, once they leave the prison system, where are they going? They're coming back to our community.
Right.
So I'd rather invest in them, give them the services, like the churches that come up. The only thing I want to remind all these individuals that go in there and offer prayer services, these individuals, not all of them are good. They are criminals, and sometimes they take advantage. They take advantage of people, and people go in there, with a great heart, of actually trying to help them and serve and offer them prayer.
Right.
But just keep that in mind, and sometimes they just do it so they can get out of their cells.
Right. So are you saying don't be naive?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Love that. That is important. If AI is correct and the internet is correct, one of your key campaign promises was creating a civilian social services unit to address root causes like mental health and family issues before they turn into crimes. Tell me about that.
Yes. So being an officer in the streets, we go to a lot of households. Every time we get answer 911 calls, there's issues, there's a crisis going on. And when we go out there, sometimes it's not always criminal. So I want to have those resources available to actually, when a deputy goes to a household, he investigates, there's nothing criminal. And sometimes a deputy knows, like, this is a broken family. Today there's nothing criminal, but we're going to return and somebody's going to go to jail. Instead of having that mentality, when that deputy leaves the house, he can actually contact our social worker, so that social worker can go into that household, find out what are the root causes of the issues they're having. It can be family violence, mental health, drug abuse, food insecurity, troubled youth now, and direct that family to resources in our community so they don't end up in the criminal justice system. Because I believe, like I said, we need to invest in members of our community, and I'd rather invest in them before they enter the criminal justice system.
Of course, yeah.
Because like the district attorney's office, we have a victim services unit. They have social workers in there, but it's when you're already a victim. The public defender's office, they have social services social workers in there, but they're helping you once you're already in the system and have been charged with the crime. What if we use those resources and help them before that happens?
Yeah, so that sounds great. I think everyone listening says that's great. My only question is, does it actually work? Because I'm just telling you how I hear this. There's a family in crisis and someone shows up. Are they open to help?
Not always. And we don't have it yet. You know, this is a proposal. I'm working with the budget from last year. So every October, the budget gets adopted. So my new budget will not start till October. So right now, when we do budget talks during the summer, getting ready for October, that's one of the proposals that I'm going to bring before Commissioner's Court, a social services unit with the Sheriff's Office. And that question has come up. Are we going to invest all this money, but does it actually work? Are people actually going to do it? For me, if we offer this services to 100 families, and if we can save one, and change his life, give him the proper resources, I'm good with that.
Right. I mean, it's such a deep issue. I'm sure we could talk for hours just on that. We had someone in here just yesterday. We were talking about rehab after jail, or after prison, and that's a huge topic. Again, if you just joined us, we're with El Paso County Sheriff Oscar Ugarte. Wide-ranging conversation, very informative, really enjoying this. We're going to go into a break, and we'll be right back. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Are you looking for a Bible teaching church on the west side of El Paso? This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City and speaker on the Summons broadcast, heard each weekday at 5 p.m. here on this station. Calvary Chapel Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org. The Lord bless you, my friends. Hey, KLP listeners, this is Pastor Terry Gray of Calvary Chapel Sun City on El Paso's west side. I want to invite you to join me at a new time at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday right here on KELP. If you're driving home at 5 p.m. or doing work around the house or getting your evening started, I invite you to join me as we go through the Bible, chapter by chapter, verse by verse. There is nothing more valuable than the Word of God, so let's invest our time in learning more about it together each day. That's our Bible study program, Summons, each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on KELP.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka, and we are with El Paso County Sheriff Oscar Ugarte. We've had quite a wide-ranging conversation. Sheriff, when you ran for office, everyone was asking you, what will you do? Most of the KELP audience is faith-based, church. What would you want from the church?
From the church, I believe there's a disconnect between law enforcement and the community. For any listeners out there, big on community policing. So anytime you have an event, you're going to have a community event, please invite us. Please invite us. As public servants, as the sheriff's office, we want to build that relationship with the community, because the community are the eyes and ears of law enforcement.
Okay.
You know what's happening in your street. You know what's happening in your neighborhood. But if we don't have that relationship and we can't connect, you're not going to share that information. And that information is very important to us, that we can actually make a difference in our community and actually help you. Because your neighbor, he gets home at 3 p.m., he leaves at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
But you also know when, hey, at 1 a.m., there's a lot of traffic in that house. I wonder what's going on.
Right.
How can people come and go? And that's information we need.
Okay.
If there's something suspicious, and having that opportunity when the church has events to invite us, we can set up a booth, set up a booth at that event, to build that relationship, ask any questions, be transparent with the community. I believe there's a big disconnect.
Right.
And that would be a great opportunity to build those relationships with those church members.
Yeah, I agree that there's a huge disconnect, and my listeners hear from me about it almost every day.
Yes.
Don't spend your life just at home, church, and work. Get out in the community. I love this idea of just inviting the sheriff's office to an event. Would that mainly be churches that are in the Far East, and then Vinton and Canutillo, or
no? Anywhere
Okay.
we go. I do have a community services section.
Okay.
That is focused on that, doing community events. We do coffee with the cop. Learning. How can we improve services? Where do we need improvement? Where are we failing? And we want to know that. We want to know that as a sheriff's office, so
Sure.
we can improve services. But anywhere that like I said, yes, we patrol the unincorporated areas, but El Paso County Sheriff's Office is funded by everybody in El Paso County. It doesn't matter if you live in the city, in
Sure.
Socorro. Those $130 million that go to the sheriff's office, that's funds that belong to this community. So it doesn't matter where you live. I want to hear from you how we can serve you better.
Right. Love it. If there was one thing you could change about the county with a snap of your fingers, because a lot of what you've talked about is multi-year projects. You have a big task ahead of you. But if there's one thing you could change with the snap of your fingers, what would that thing be?
Increase funding for the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Yes.
That'll take care of everything else.
Yes. The funding, the funding, like I said, there's a lot of need at the sheriff's office.
Okay.
There is tremendous need. I could, say that the sheriff's office is running on fumes.
Wow.
Yes.
You have some struggles ahead of you.
Yes, I have some struggles. So if I can change something, increase the funding to properly staff the jails, to properly staff patrol, to properly equip my deputies so they can provide a better service to this community, that's what I would do.
Right. Okay. So you're believed to be the youngest sheriff in El Paso County history.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Bible says this: don't let anyone look down on you because of your youth. That's what it says. You're 41. You're not too young.
Yes. So, and I think it's throughout my career. When I was a corrections officer, I had just turned 19.
Wow.
I right out of high school, turned 19. I became a corrections officer at 19. My peace officer license, in Texas, you can be a police officer at the age of 21. So I was 21 October 12, and I believe 2 days later I took the state exam and I passed. So at 21 years old, I was a police officer. I was 21 years old, 22, in the city of Socorro, patrolling. I thought I was on top of the world. I loved it. 21, 22 years being a police officer, that was my dream.
Well, you learned a lot about life that way.
Yes. Me, 21 years old, I still lived with my parents. I had no family. And here I am going into households, family violence, issues of family problems, and as a 21-year-old, I'm trying to fix the situation, trying to counsel them, guide them, and I don't have a family myself,
Right.
So it was very interesting, I loved it, and then when I transitioned over to the constable, I was one of the youngest constables to get elected in El Paso County,
Right.
and now the youngest sheriff in El Paso County to be elected. So
Well,
it's great.
That's super cool.
Yes, and during the campaign, that was one of the things. I'm not retired. I'm not a business owner. I'm 41 years old. This is not a retirement job for me. I have the passion. I have the energy. I'm still hungry. I want to serve you. I want to find out how can I improve services, public safety in our community. I still have that energy.
Yeah. So what? Sorry, I'm laughing, but is the sheriff offered like a semi-retirement job?
The past 2 sheriffs that we had, they go to a law enforcement agency, they collect that retirement, they secure their funding, and then they run for office.
Oh, wow.
So the past 2 sheriffs retired from El Paso Police Department. After retiring, they ran for office. And for me, everything was on the line. I live off of my salary. I don't have a retirement. I'm not a business owner. So I rely on this. So when I ran for office, I took a big risk because I was already the elected constable. I was on my 2nd term. But I left that job, and if I did not win, I was going to be without a job. Right. So it was a big risk, but I was ready. When I made that decision that I was going to run for sheriff, I felt confident. I was ready. I was ready for growth. And I believe that I can make a difference in the sheriff's office with the experience because I've worked for state government. I've worked for city government. I've worked for county government. I've been a police officer. I've worked the courts, a politician, it's very important. Like I tell everybody, law enforcement and politics, it's a whole different ballgame. And you need to understand them both.
Right.
The law enforcement side, but also the political side, because you need to build relationships with your local government officials, with your state officials, with your government officials, to work together, and tell your story. And the last 8 years, I've been in politics, so I've been able to work and establish relationships with other elected officials, and I believe that will help me, to build up the sheriff's office. My goal as the sheriff of El Paso County, I want to make El Paso County Sheriff's Office the greatest sheriff's office in the state of Texas. I want other sheriff's office to come to El Paso County to look at what we're doing. A lot of and it's just not in law enforcement. It's in many areas. El Paso is always the last one to come. Everything happens in East Texas. The bigger cities, and El Paso is always like the last ones to implement it. And I want to change that.
Right.
I want to change that, and I want to put El Paso on the map. And I want other law enforcement agencies like, what is El Paso County doing? I want to know. I'm gonna go and learn from them.
Yeah,
those are my goals.
I love that. And you're a first-generation American. For your family, you have deep roots here. How does that affect how you see things, if at all?
As far as like the immigration, right now the current administration, they see all immigrants as criminals. Do we have criminals coming across? Absolutely. But I believe probably good 98% of the immigrants that are coming, they're not criminals. They just want a better life, just like my parents did for me.
Sure.
My parents came, to give me a better life.
Right.
For the opportunities, my father only went to school to the 3rd grade. My mother only went to school to the 6th grade. And, they were immigrants. They were not criminals.
Right.
And I'm a product of that.
Yeah.
I'm a product, and now I'm the sheriff of El Paso County.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, Sheriff, we have just a few minutes left, and we have a little tradition here at 915 Talk. I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay.
I'm going to do some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
And we're Christian radio, so we believe in right and wrong answers. But because we're Christian radio, we try not to be judgmental if you give a wrong answer. We're not always successful, but we'll do our very best. So, Mac Daddy Del Norte, cue up the lightning round. Yeah, we're just having so much fun, Sheriff. I didn't know if we were going to do this or not, but I thought we have to. So the first question is a question you're asked when you go out to eat. The question is red or green?
Red.
Red. Okay. Go ahead and hit it up. Yeah. All right. There we go. So personally, I'm a green guy, so normally we don't do the applause. But I was like, okay, you're pretty confident on that. What's a great place in El Paso County to answer that question?
Well, when you said red, I thought about red enchiladas.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yes.
So where's a good place?
I like a restaurant. It's a small mom and pop shop. It's called Las Palmas off of Missouri Street.
Las Palmas.
Las Palmas restaurant.
I know that place.
Very small?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a story. I went there, and I don't speak Spanish very well. And
all Spanish speaking?
Yes, all Spanish speaking. And they said, what do you want? And I said, the special. And I didn't know what I was ordering. And they brought me mole. And it was exciting. I did not expect that flavor, but I've always enjoyed that place. So that's great. I know that place. Yes. Next question. You have someone coming to visit you in El Paso. They've never been here before, and you want to impress them with your hometown. What's a place you take them to impress them that's not a restaurant?
Scenic Drive.
Scenic Drive, that is correct. Yeah, we have fun. So you already told me your dream for the sheriff's department. At the beginning of the program, we make this statement in the intro. The world is looking at El Paso. What will we say to the world? What is something you would want the world to know about this city?
This is the greatest city to raise a family.
Wow. Love it. Love it. Sheriff, thank you for coming in today. I've really enjoyed this conversation. Any last messages you want to send out to the listening community?
First of all, thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed it. This is the first time I actually for 1 hour. Usually, I have interviews 15, 10 minutes, but 1 hour, I really enjoyed it. It flew by.
Yeah.
Very interesting questions. And like I said, I want to be transparent.
Right.
So anything the community has to ask me, we're available, and we want to improve services to the community. And thank you for the residents of El Paso County for giving me this opportunity. It's because of them that I am here, and I truly, truly appreciate for believing in me and giving me the opportunity to be the sheriff of El Paso County.
Yeah, we'll be following the journey. We're here. We'll be watching, cheering you on. Wish you the very best. And and to your point about the length of the program, one of the reasons we do such a long form is because this is really the only way to be able to, in my view, to really be able to talk about certain issues. Yes. I don't want to do just sound bites. Mm-hmm. I want us to be able to dig in a little bit, and particularly for our listeners, so that we can learn together about this city, this region we live in. And thanks again for coming in today. And as we always say at the end of this program, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbor, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. In order to listen to previous editions of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.